turned student ambassador. We'll be starting shortly. Lekin before that, I'll be starting shortly, but before that, आप लोग chat box में अपना short introduction लिख दें and also mention why you're attending this event. Okay, so this session is hosted by Student Ambassadors Club Sindh Madrasatul Islam University. This community is university-based, but very soon it'll be expanding to Karachi level. And the aim of this, this club is to bring in meaningful events for you guys. So even if you guys have suggestions as to what you'd like to learn next, feel free to write in the chat box. And even during the session, I'll try कि मैं आप लोगों की questions लूं. Probably at the end of the session, but those questions during registration I've read, I'll try to take all of those during the session. So reading all the questions in the form, मैंने ये चीज़ notice की that majority of the people want to know a complete roadmap for full stack web development, and some want a career guide or how to start a career in this field. So I'll be taking all those points in this session. So let's start. Before talking, see, web development in itself is a generic term. There are different career paths or positions that stem out of it. I've written just 3 major positions, career paths जो आप choose कर सकते हैं if you're part of web development. You could either do front-end development, अगर आप ज़्यादा interested हैं on the front-end side, on the user interface as to what a user sees or the interaction a user does with the website. अगर उस aspect में आपको ज़्यादा interest है, you can be a front-end developer. Other than that, you can be a back-end developer, because back-end is everything that happens behind the scenes. A user is not aware of what is happening, but एक बहुत ही crucial part होता है. So that is those people जिनको ये दोनों चीजें आती हैं and they enjoy doing it, then they can go for becoming a full stack developer. But these 3 are the major positions that you can have in this field. So I've taken this Stack Overflow data. For those जिनको Stack Overflow के बारे में नहीं पता है, it's a very huge community for developers, and they reveal these stats every year. So ये 2020 के stats हैं. Like I said, के backend, full stack, and frontend are the major and the most popular skill sets that you can have. Other than that, you can see we have database administrators, we have designers, QA developers. But most of you are interested in the top major ones, backend, full stack, and front end. So our focus will be on those 3. Then there's this question about the market value. And I think it's a very valid question, because if you're spending so many months learning a particular skill set, it's extremely important कि आपको पता हो कि once you're done learning, how much you're going to earn, or is it easy to earn or not. So for that, so according to Stack Overflow data, this is the global data, and you could see that somewhere over here we have full stack developer. Average salary is $54,000, and then we have back-end, front-end, similar to these. Now this is global data. अगर मैं सिर्फ पाकिस्तान की बात करूँ, because I see that majority जो लोग हैं इस event में वो पाकिस्तान से हैं. The question is कि क्या इतना ही amount है for Pakistan? I don't think so. But because जितनी job postings I have seen for junior developers and senior developers, I don't think they're paid that much for some reason. But that's not a disappointment, क्योंकि In web development, हमारे पास एक opportunity है of freelancing, and through that opportunity, we can earn US dollars while being in Pakistan. So even if अगर हम देखें कि we're not being paid that much in our own country, Pakistan में, I've seen senior developers in leading organizations in Pakistan might be paying that much to senior developers. लेकिन junior में फिर भी थोड़ा सा कम है. But freelance का एक opportunity हमारे पास है where obviously you have to build yourself also on freelance platforms, but you paid well. Then there was this question that I'm a civil engineer and I'm also a freelance content writer. I don't know if that person is in this session, but if you are, kindly write in the chat box. So he said that should I go for web development? I think you should definitely go for web development, considering the fact that you're already doing freelancing, content writing, and you're going to be paid much more than you already earn through content writing. So आपको definitely करना चाहिए. You should learn the skill set. And for all of you guys, even the ones जो बिल्कुल new हैं, जिन्होंने अभी web development start नहीं की, I would suggest go on freelance platforms. We have freelancer.com, we have Upwork. Go on those platforms, make your ID, and freelancing start नहीं करें, सिर्फ job descriptions पढ़ें to understand कि what people require from web developers. कौन सी technologies सबसे ज़्यादा appear हो रही हैं, कौन सी technologies लोगों को ज़्यादा चाहिए, so that आपको खुद भी idea हो या आपकी खुद की research होगी. Now I'll tell you the complete roadmap जिसके through आप full stack developer बन सकते हैं, आपको कहाँ से start करना चाहिए and everything. And definitely it covers back end as well, it covers front end as well. But before starting to learn any new technology, आपको कुछ चीजें हैं जो पहले से पता होनी चाहिए. The first is a very basic concept of how websites work. What happens when you type something, when you type a URL? How are files fetched? And everything जो पीछे हो रहा है, and you cannot understand how are you able to see a website. So you should know that, and it's not very complex. It's a simple concept जो आप YouTube पे जाएंगे, आप search करेंगे, आपको मिल जाएगा. So you should first learn that, and through that video and through that understanding, फिर आपको curiosity होगी to learn more. Then you should choose a code editor for yourself, because obviously you need an environment where you want to code. The most popular one is Visual Studio Code, which is अगर आप लोगों ने Visual Studio पे काम किया है, अगर आपने कोई programming language previously की है, so it's a lighter version of Visual Studio. It's very fast, easy to use, and the best thing about it is that it's customizable. It gives you the environment you want for yourself while coding. So I prefer Visual Studio Code, but then there are other options as well. You have Sublime Text, Vim, Atom, so it's your choice. Then once you're done with understanding how websites work, you have a code editor. Now you have to start learning a technology, and you have to start with HTML, which is the easiest and the most important part of a website. कि आपको HTML आनी चाहिए. It's a raw structure or a foundation for your website. Like if you don't have the markup, basic markup, आगे processing नहीं हो सकती for a website. So that is really important, but it's very easy. So I would suggest you that don't give HTML more than 3 days, because the practice will go on and on even further. So itna time nahi hai, because the things that are coming ahead, they will be more time consuming. And then the most important thing is CSS. Basically, website mein whatever pretty effects and nice animations that you see, all of those are because of CSS, which is cascading style sheets. Now, CSS is very in-depth and long and never-ending, and it's time-consuming, and it only comes with practice. So you have to spend time on CSS. But with that, there are 3 other things जो मैंने bracket में mention की हैं, which are equally important. First is Bootstrap, जो कि मुझे लगता है कि you don't have to go too much into the concepts of Bootstrap. You should just know the basics of how it is implemented and everything. इससे ज़्यादा don't spend too much on Bootstrap. Why am I saying this? Because जब आप professionally देखेंगे, तो people do require you to do Bootstrap. तो ऐसा होना चाहिए that you should know the basics of implementing it. And Bootstrap really helps in making responsive designs with less effort and quickly. And then we have responsive design. अगर आपको front end developer बनना है या even back end बनना है, it's important कि आपको responsive design बनाना है using just CSS. That's the professional way to go about it. Because like I said, there, but there is a lot of competition. So you should know these little details as well for something. Then we have SAS. You should, SAS is a modern way of writing CSS. तो आप CSS को कुछ time दें, practice करें, build websites with it, and then you also learn SAS, which is not going to take much of your time, but it's just going to help you with your entire process of coding. Once you're done with CSS, then you have to jump to a web programming language. And here मैंने लिखा है JavaScript and Python. There was a question during registration about Django framework. That's why I've mentioned Python, because that framework you can opt for if your web programming language is Python. लेकिन अगर अभी आप undecided हैं, then I'm going to recommend you to go for JavaScript. क्योंकि majority people require JavaScript skills for web development. बहुत कम लोग हैं जिनको Python की skills चाहिए specifically for web development. So if you're still undecided, I would recommend going for JavaScript. It's also very popular. Yes. With JavaScript, and if you choose to do JavaScript, I'm not going to give you a particular time frame of doing it because I think you have to spend as much time as you want to do. क्योंकि आप जितना अच्छे से करेंगे, the rest of the process is just going to get easier for you. There was a question, what is a simple and easy way to learn JavaScript? First of all, JavaScript is not easy. It's difficult. अगर आपने पहले कोई programming language की है, so the basic JavaScript is going to be easier for you because the concepts are pretty much similar. But the advanced JavaScript will have everything you've not done before. So it's going to be time taking, it's going to be challenging. आपको खुद को challenge करना पड़ेगा by solving problems, no matter how many days it takes. And as far as the question of simple way of learning is, I'll tell you the right way to learn, which is learning it and practicing it every single day. And there's a term for it, that is being consistent. That is going to help you. And this is how you're going to make JavaScript simple for you, by learning and practicing it every single day. Even if you think आप कुछ ज़्यादा ही busy हैं, I think everyone can give like a minimum of 30 minutes a day. तो आप वो commitment करें. And once you're done with the web programming language, I recommend making a website using just HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And that thing that you make doesn't necessarily have to qualify for a website. वो कोई भी चीज हो सकती है, कोई छोटी सी एक छोटी सी implementation या logic हो सकती है, लेकिन after you're done with that, you should know how these three integrate together and किस तरह से ये तीन साथ काम करते हैं, आपको पता होना चाहिए. So make a small something once you're done with JavaScript to test. And it doesn't matter कि even after spending ample amount of time learning a programming language, you require taking help from the internet. I think that's totally fine. People who are doing JavaScript since 6 to 7 years, they say that they still come across new things in JavaScript. They still have to search internet for minor details. So it really doesn't matter अगर आपको internet की ज़रूरत पड़ रही है. Take help. And like I said, challenge yourself, because this entire process of web development is going to be a self-study. Once you're done learning, nobody is going to take your test. You have to test yourself every step of the way. Then you have to decide a web framework. The question, why do we use a web framework when we already have a web programming language and we get a proper website? जब आपकी websites बड़ी होंगी, you will have multiple pages and so many components, and it's going to get complex. That's when you would want the help of a web framework जो काफी मुश्किल चीजें संभाल लेता है, and then you have to focus on your coding and on your work. So it's going to make things easier for you. And especially अगर आप full stack बनना चाहते हैं, तो फिर web framework बहुत ही ज़्यादा important है. Django framework is for people who choose Python as their web programming language. And then there is this question, which is like this hot fire question, which framework to use, which I think is a very important question, क्योंकि मुझे लगता है कि पूरे web development process में the best thing is the web framework. The most exciting and fun thing is the web framework, but ये totally depend करता है कि आपकी choice क्या है. ये Stack Overflow का data है, and as you can see that popular सबसे ज़्यादा jQuery है. But I would tell you, I would recommend you to scrape jQuery off the list, because a lot of people say and a lot of people predict that it's going to get extinct over the years. Nobody is going to use it. And every single year, React.js is overtaking jQuery. तो आप उसको consider नहीं करें. Definitely अभी भी लोग web development के लिए jQuery चाहते हैं, but you don't have to go for it also because the way of doing it is pretty old. And like I say, React is a very modern web framework. So people are going more towards that. Then we have Angular, and then we have Vue. Vue is less popular as far as React.js and Angular are concerned. I think they're doing well. But apart from stats, I think when you want to decide a framework for yourself, there are three things that you need to consider. First is which framework is most in demand right now. आप अभी के सोचें कि अभी क्या in demand है. You can do the research for yourself. And research सिर्फ ऐसे नहीं होती है कि आपने Google पे search कर लिया, because you will see so many documentations and they might be biased according to who wrote it. हो सकता है कोई particular framework कर रहा हो and उसका preference उस पे ज़्यादा हो. Other way of doing research is connecting with like-minded people through platforms like LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. And this is exactly what I did. I started connecting with these people. मैं उनको नहीं जानती थी, but I knew that they're into web development. And I started hearing React a lot. तब मुझे पता चला that yes, it is in demand. So many people are talking about it. So that's the one question you need to search for yourself. Second is, which framework has a long future ahead? So like I said, jQuery to nahi hai, because you can search anywhere. People are predicting that it's not going to work for long. Then we have React, that is made by Facebook, and then we have Angular that is made by Google. So you can expect these two to last longer. And we have Vue, jo bilkul abhi aayi hai. My preference for React also increased because it was made by Facebook. Now, how does that matter? एक web application है, मैं on a regular basis use कर रही हूँ. So I was just very curious to know कि how is this application made? जब मुझे पता चला that React is behind this, I wanted to do it just out of curiosity. And secondly, Facebook is popular and it is still running. And despite the fact that React is so modern, Facebook is still working on React. So आप उसको expect कर सकते हैं that it has a long future ahead. But like I said, कि जो भी बोलता है, they are a little biased towards their framework. Like I'm doing React, so I'm more about React. But then I'm also adding some of my research. तो आप अपनी research भी कर सकते हैं through the things that I've said. And then what is fun using? Just ask people who are working on React, Angular, Vue, just ask them how much fun it is. If you ask me about React, I think it's very fun. Obviously, it's complicated, so it's a tough hai, but I enjoy doing it because it's the modern way of working. Then once you're done with the web framework, तो आप front-end developer बन जाते हैं. CSS की जो working है, CSS की जो practice है, that's ongoing and that's just going to continue forever. Back-end developer में you need, like I said, back-end development is things that are happening behind the scenes. The user जो website use करता है, that person cannot see it, but it काफी crucial part होता है एक website का. So to become a backend developer, you need a backend language. We have Node.js, PHP, ASP.NET, Java, and I think और भी हैं. But I think PHP is doing good, but even Node.js is doing great. And अगर आपने JavaScript की है, then Node.js is going to be easier and more understandable for you. So you need a backend language, and then you need knowledge of database. होनी चाहिए knowledge. We have two types of database. We have SQL databases and we have no SQL databases. अगर आप किसी software program में या फिर computer science program में enrolled हैं, तो definitely आपको SQL language तो होगी course में. Then there is no SQL database such as MongoDB, which is very popular nowadays, and people do require their websites to be built with MongoDB. So these two concepts you need to know to become a back-end developer, and then you can work on this as well. आप ऐसे कर सकते हैं कि you develop a front-end website and then you expand it to a back-end website. आप उसके अंदर login and sign up के forms डाल दें to understand the concepts of it. Let me tell you, even if you plan on becoming a front-end developer, I recommend that you should know a little bit of back-end because it's just going to help you. And वैसे भी without trying backend, you cannot decide for yourself which one you like. तो आपको दोनों होना चाहिए. And then there is this perception that backend is a lot tough, बहुत ज़्यादा tough है, and it's going to take so much time. I think it's the opposite. Front end is more time taking. Front end is more critical. A lot of things are to be taken in perspective. जब आप एक वेबसाइट बनाते हैं तो it's not just to make a visually attractive website. आपको बहुत सारी चीजें पॉइंट में लेनी होती हैं that it should also be responsive. There was this one question कि what's the best way of making a responsive website? There is this technique which is called mobile view first technique. And when I heard of this technique, I did not use it at all. I said, no, I'm going to do the way I do. And that's when I came across issues and problems. And my first solution that came into my mind was trying the opposite way. And it actually works. अगर आपने front end development की है, तो you would know. अगर आपने नहीं की है तो during CSS you would learn that there is this thing called Chrome Dev Tools जिसके through आप अपनी website को different screen sizes में देख सकते हैं. So you start with the smallest width that is of mobile, of a phone, and वहाँ से आप start करें. And when your site breaks at one point, वहाँ पे आप you can add media query. And how is this trick beneficial? क्योंकि जब आप मोबाइल व्यू से स्टार्ट करते हैं तो आपकी जो ब्रेक पॉइंट्स होते हैं वो कंपैरेटिवली कम होते हैं. दिस इज ट्राइड एंड टेस्टेड बिकॉज आई ट्राइड बोथ वेज एंड आई सीन यस ब्रेक पॉइंट्स कम होते हैं. सेकेंडली, जब आप अपनी वेबसाइट को एक्सपैंड करते हैं, उसकी विड्थ चेंज करते हैं, तो जो चेंजेस होते हैं वो स्मूथ होते हैं, ब्रेक नहीं करते, अदरवाइज दे विल ब्रेक. So that's the right way to go about making a responsive web design. Now you know front end and back end, but there are some additional tools that are required. First is आपको basic deployment. Basic deployment is just basic. You don't have to learn something special. सबसे ज़्यादा basic तो we have GitHub pages. जो आप GitHub use करेंगे, तो it's the simplest way of deploying a website. अगर आप front end पे काम कर रहे हैं, so you should know that. Then we have certain free tools like Firebase, and we have Netlify. So you should try those and then deploy your websites, because at one point you want to make your portfolio. तो आप उसको अगर deploy कर देंगे तो it will be easier for majority of the people to see it. Locally आपके laptop पे नहीं होगी, सब देख सकेंगे. Second, the most important is version control. Even now, अभी आपने कुछ start नहीं किया, but you're planning on starting with HTML, just go on GitHub and make your profile and learn the concepts of Git and GitHub on YouTube. अभी मैं एक और course का link I'm going to mention in the chat box for you guys, so you can visit. लेकिन other than that, YouTube is a space for free content. आप वहाँ से जाके you can learn absolutely anything. So GitHub is really important for maintaining your portfolio, and also LinkedIn. आप LinkedIn पे भी account बना लें अपना. And this is popular scripting and programming language, and popular scripting, programming, and markup languages as well. And you see that JavaScript is the most popular. And then we have HTML, CSS, and then we have Python. So if you're like still confused as to what you need to choose as a programming language, you see that JavaScript and HTML, CSS are the most popular. So I hope that this makes the process more easier for you. I think that's all. And now I'm going to take your questions. और अगर मैंने registration form वाले questions में से कोई एक question miss कर दिया है, so you can mention that as well. Can we start from one of the framework of JS with knowledge of HTML and CSS, not Bootstrap? सबसे पहले, you need to start one of your framework of JS. Yes, definitely. Bootstrap is not that important, and Bootstrap is very simple. You do not even have to spend too much time over it. You just need to know the implementation. लेकिन अगर आपको implementation नहीं भी पता, like I said, the professional way to go about a responsive web design is CSS. So definitely you can go for a framework without Bootstrap. But are you asking me without JS? Because that's not possible. You need to know JavaScript. That's the basis of framework. Love the fact that Python, SQL, and JavaScript are at the top, but why would R be in the bottom stack? Well, it is. You recommended to build site with HTML, CSS. You recommended to build site with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript first before moving towards frameworks. So what will be the point where we can stop on JavaScript for a while to build site in spite of the fact that JavaScript is continuously learning language? When you jump for a framework, आप कोई framework learn करेंगे, definitely it has its concepts. लेकिन आपको JavaScript ही use करनी है for applying the logic. Even if it's React or Vue or Angular, it's JavaScript that is working. So आपकी JavaScript की practice will continue even if you choose a JavaScript framework. So that will be ongoing. Can we use Bootstrap only for responsive site? I don't think you should go for Bootstrap only for responsive design, because if you want to be a front-end developer, I strongly recommend कि आपको CSS के through responsive design बनाना बिल्कुल आनी चाहिए. Is PHP dead now? It's not dead now. I think as a backend language, a lot of people are using it. A lot of people recommend it. So it's not dead. When do we prefer one over the other between SQL and NoSQL for database for the website? I think as much as I've read, when we have a very large website with a lot of data, तब हम लोग SQL को prefer करते हैं. But even with small websites, you can go for SQL. But the right way to go, the professional way to go is कि अगर आपकी small website है, you do not have to manage a lot of data, then you can go for NoSQL. Should we run CSS in depth? You should definitely learn CSS in depth. लेकिन initially when you are learning CSS, I would recommend go for the basics, the integration, small features. And then, like I said, जब आप JavaScript करेंगे, and then you're going to go on making full websites, तब आप main CSS को practice करेंगे. Then you can search on the internet about CSS more, and that's how you'll practice, because CSS is more about practice. There's no learning. But yes, through over the years, in-depth आपको उसकी knowledge होगी. How do you see tools like WordPress, Wix, are they a threat to proper developers? It feels sad a little bit that something that developers make with so much logic and hard work, these developers do make it more simply. But no, it's not a threat to proper developers at all, because a lot of people do require JavaScript, HTML, and CSS for websites. WordPress is a lot in demand as well. Can we go with Python on initial level? It's totally up to you. If you like Python, if you like it, then go for it. लेकिन जैसे कि मैंने कहा कि like I've seen, इतने ज़्यादा job postings नहीं हैं that require Python for web development. But people who are doing it, I think they can do well. What is WordPress and where we use it on backend development or front end? I don't know much about WordPress. I think it's used for front end, and I think it's a drag and drop technology. But I've also read some places that HTML and CSS is integrated in WordPress. So I really don't know a lot about it. When should we prefer Node.js over PHP or vice versa? अगर आपको PHP आती है, so you can go for it. But if you don't know, then you can try Node.js as well. I think it's simple and it's popular as well. So you can go for Node.js. लेकिन ऐसी कोई preference नहीं है. Even through PHP, the backend बन सकता है. And for people जो syntax के साथ comfortable हैं PHP के, they can do it. I know the basic of JavaScript only. Can I move on one of its framework, then after completing it, returning to advanced course of JS? No, I don't think you should do that. I think you should definitely first do advanced JS and then move to a framework because it's just going to help you later. Domain hosting info. Um, See, I told you that you can host your websites on free tools like Firebase, Netlify, and GitHub pages. And those are the free tools. अगर आपको बहुत in-depth जाना है into it, then you can go, then you can learn more. But initial level पे, I think these three tools you can use, and there's so many documentations where there is a step-by-step guide. And बिल्कुल important नहीं है कि आपको पता हो कि about every step is doing. You can just implement it and follow it. Can one switch from PHP to Node.js? Definitely you can switch from PHP to Node.js. Backend with Node.js is simpler. Yes. Can we host dynamic website with GitHub? Yes, you can. You can definitely host dynamic websites with GitHub. HTML5 or HTML difference. HTML5 is the latest HTML and इसके अंदर बहुत सारे features ऐसे हैं which HTML जो HTML के पास नहीं है. So you should go for HTML5. A lot of tags which are not present in HTML, they are present in HTML5. And अगर आप नेट पे सर्च करें तो you will find a table जहाँ पे you see the things which HTML does not have and HTML5 does have. What should we learn? We talk specifically regarding advanced JS. Can you, I cannot understand that question. I think you mean हम specifically advanced JS में क्या learn करें. In advanced JS, there are a lot of new concepts, which I'm not going to list here. लेकिन मैं आपको एक course का link दूंगी, which has everything that is included in advanced JS. So you should go for that course to know कि उसके क्या course contents हैं. And even if you don't want to buy that course, आप उसके section में देख लें what are the course contents. Is cloud-based computing better in performance? I don't think so. I really don't think so. It's pretty much similar. लेकिन क्योंकि मैंने cloud पे इतना नहीं किया है, but I've tried both cloud and a normal base, and I think it's fine. There's no better in performance. Any course or YouTube playlist for learning React from scratch? There's this course जो मैं अभी आप लोग को दे रही हूँ. This is from Udemy. And it's the updated 2020 version. अगर आप इसको buy करना चाह रहे हैं तो 6 days it's off, so you can go for it. And अगर आप buy नहीं करना चाह रहे हैं तो आप उसके course content देख सकते हैं, and then similarly आप उसको YouTube पे search कर सकते हैं. And if you're asking for YouTube, there's free code camp की, there's a video from YouTube which teaches you React from scratch, and I think it's very thorough and very understandable. It's a 4-hour video. So अभी I'm going to search, and अगर मुझे मिल जाती है, I'm going to send it to you. So this is the React video for YouTube. Should we practice more on making templates with HTML, CSS, JS, or Bootstrap? Definitely, you can make 2-3 templates with it. It's just going to better your understanding. What What is the best way to manage our websites? Like in case we're dealing with data that is constantly updating, how to manage that efficiently? Um, the best way to manage websites. I think, like I said, that when you're using frameworks, due to data update hona or your user interface changing and updating everything, I told you that a lot of it is managed by the framework itself. So when you go for a framework, these things are going to get simpler for you. You people provide free courses for web development. We don't provide free courses, but we can give you sessions and events through this platform if you want. So you can mention आपको क्या learn करना है. Link share कर दे 4 hours की video का. Yes, I've done that. So, after the session, yes, I'll share my email address with you. So yes. Should we move to Bootstrap without practicing more CSS by self? Yes, you can move to Bootstrap. Like I said, CSS की practice is going to continue forever. Even when you're doing JavaScript, React, you're going to come across CSS features which you've never heard before. So that practice is going to continue. So you can stop it and go for Bootstrap, then come again and learn. कोई मसला नहीं है. Best Node.js learning resource. YouTube has a lot of content. You can go there. As for me, I have done it through a course. जो मैंने mention किया है ऊपर. You can consult that. Can you tell us about Microsoft Student Ambassador and most importantly about video for it which we have to upload? Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador is an amazing platform for people who want to connect with like-minded people and who want to grow their community. And through this platform, people get a lot of exposure, a lot of chances of showcasing their work and their potential. So people should go for it. As far as the video thing is concerned, I think in that video you have to just talk about the technologies you have worked on, the technologies you're still working with, and any new communities या कोई communities कोई past experience जो आप mention करना चाहें. But then again, you should just show that you're passionate about technology and you want to work even after you are selected as a Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador. Just mention what you plan to do if you're given that position. Kindly elaborate more about frameworks, like why does it require in terms of web development? See, simple JavaScript, if you're working with simple JavaScript, it's going to be hard for you to maintain files when your site gets larger. अगर आप एक one page website बना रहे हैं through HTML, CSS and JavaScript, then it's going to work fine for you. But if your website goes larger, then you want a proper framework जिसके through you can manage your files, and most importantly, you can manage your code. When your code is going to exceed, it's going to be problematic. So it's going to help you with that. Which platform you're talking about? Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador. Hearing a lot about MERN stack developer nowadays. If you please illustrate that term. MERN is MongoDB, which is a NoSQL database. Then we have Express, which is a node framework. जब आप backend पे node पर काम करेंगे, then you're definitely going to come across Express, which is going to make your backend server easier. So that is Express. Then R is for React, and then N is for Node. Do we have any more questions? How much should we practice programming daily, in your opinion? I think you should give your programming language a maximum of 3 hours a day and a minimum of 30 days a day. And like I said, beach with gaps, if you give gaps in between without practicing, it's just going to get harder for you. Because programming language yaad to nahi ki ja sakti. It's just about practicing and just retaining that knowledge. So I would recommend doing it every single day, a maximum of 3 hours. And try solving practice questions and problems. A lot of people just learn it, but they do not challenge themselves. So आप Google पे जाएं and search for questions and solve them. Any general tips for someone who has just started learning the basics of programming and web development? I think the first tip is that maintain your curiosity of learning, because if you're not curious, you're just not going to enjoy the process, because it might get dry at some places and you might want to drop it. So just stay curious. Second point is build yourself with time, practice daily, and yeah, practice daily, build projects, yes, and and yes, make your accounts on LinkedIn and GitHub and connect with people on LinkedIn. And if you're confused and you want to know कि आप लोगों से LinkedIn पे कैसे connect कर सकते हैं, how you can grow your network and what are the advantages of LinkedIn, I've written a very understandable blog over it जो मैं यहाँ पे mention कर रही हूँ for you guys. So you guys can go and check it out. Just connect with people to know more what is happening, लोग क्या कर रहे हैं. That is really important. So this is the blog that you can read. How can I join Student Ambassadors Club? Go to Microsoft official website and there you will find the form for joining this. Go and fill it. Can there be another session regarding a roadmap to app development? Definitely, if you guys require, we're going to bring more sessions. Any good resources for challenging ourselves, like platforms where we can test our programming skills? You have HackerRank, you have LeetCode. You can practice there. Is it necessary to learn languages, because in the modern world we can always know the syntax from net? Or is it just knowing how things work on like C or C++ is enough, because you can always learn syntax on net on spot? And I think it's necessary to learn languages. No, you cannot learn syntax on spot, but yes, if you're stuck and you cannot remember how you could do that, that's when you can take help from the internet. You should definitely learn a language, and syntax will not take that much of your time. The main time taking thing are the basic and strong concepts that a programming language has. Tell us what we learn. Tell us that we learn programming languages and much more, but we cannot implement it. So just how can we, so that we can make websites and blah blah. Mm, you cannot implement it. The best way to go about it is that once you're done with learning these technologies and you think you cannot implement them in websites, try building websites watching a tutorial. Learn how that person is using a particular concept in what context, and then you're going to realize and understand कि ये कैसे real काम आ रही है. So you should try and watch tutorials in websites initially. But using tutorials, it makes like copy paste work or web building not our own mind. That's totally true. It's not your own mind, but it greatly helps you in understanding concepts. If you think it's a copy paste and आपकी खुद की कोई originality नहीं है, then I recommend adding CSS of your own. And if you see a particular person solving a solution in JavaScript a particular way, you can think of different ways you want to implement. But through solving with tutorials, आपको एक understanding होगी कि this is the way this thing is used in websites. And then you can always customize it your own way. Try adding your own CSS because, like I said, CSS so you have to learn and practice. So it's the best way of CSS. You can try your own. Any more questions? Thank you. It's helped me a lot. Hope to see more events like this in future. You're definitely going to see more events, and we just need your enthusiasm, and we're going to bring a lot of events ahead and as interactive as we can. Can you tell us about your journey with Microsoft, the Student Ambassador? I think this journey has just started for me, but I have met some incredible people through this platform who are like-minded and who are as passionate as I am. So I think it has, and also it has given me a platform where I can showcase my work. So yeah, the journey by far is really good. Sarah, do you let them know about your group and page? Yes, we have a group and we have a page. I'm going to send you the link for both of those. जो हमारा group है उसमें we want you guys to interact. You guys can mention if you want any event. So I'm just going to share it with you guys. अब इस group को page को like करें, join करें and be interactive with us. Tell us कि what you want from us कि हम क्या event ऐसी कौन सी चीज़ है if you want to learn. ये मैंने आपको ग्रुप सेंड किया है ग्रुप को आप लोग डेफिनेटली ज्वाइन करें Thank you so much for the Q&A. You're welcome. And how you have been selected? What thing make you selected? See, this is not what I know, but I can tell you that if you spend ample amount of time on your on your form, the submission form, you spend some time, and you fill it well. I think तो आपकी selection हो जाएगी. Will you issue us the certificate of this webinar? Yeah, Shahzad has answered that. Do we have any more questions? Kindly share your email address before signing off. I'm also mentioning my LinkedIn because I can be more responsive there. So if I'm practicing my front-end work, I can upload it using Firebase and Netlify for free, only to make portfolio and show others. Yes, you can upload it using Firebase and Netlify for free. And yes, to show it in your portfolio and show others, because otherwise it will only be locally on your desktop or laptop. How to improve UI UX designing? I think the best way of improving it is by taking help from tutorials on YouTube. And like I said, that learning critical CSS through that, but obviously not copying exactly what is being built, because there is a difference between getting inspired by something and completely copying something. So it's better to get inspired and learn from seeing other person code. UI UX is user interface and user experience. User interface because when you're looking at a website, the interface matters, how it's looking. It should be visually attractive. User experience because your website also should not break. You can add some heavy functionality and heavy CSS into this, but if it's not smooth, then it's not a good experience for people. We just have 5 more minutes, so if you have any questions, you can ask. Okay, guys, I think that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining in. And like I said, we will be bringing in many more sessions for you guys. So जितने भी information के links हैं, हमारे Facebook के group का link, page का link, you can go there. Yes. So yes, that's it for today. Allah Hafiz, everybody.